Message returned, deceptive senders. All I want is you. You are all sufficient. Your wings cover me with no exceptions. Want your steadfast love, don't want temporary. Remove imitators from memory. From memory. All I want is you, only you. Take me, sweet Lord. All I want is you, only you. Take me, seeking affection of man will leave me more than empty. Fill me up again with your living word. Oh, futility and vain seekings have left me tired and spent. So I run to you, greatest beauty. Welcome with the feast of grace in your sweet embrace. Will you welcome? Will you welcome me home? Oh, God. All I want is you, only you. Take me, sweet Lord. All I want is you, only you. Take me, sweet Lord. All I want is you. All I want is you, God. More than enough, more than enough for me. You are more than enough, more than enough for me. You are more than enough. You are more than enough. Oh, I am enough. I am enough in you. I am enough. I am enough in you. I am all you say I am. I am all you say I am. I am. God, I'm in love. God, I'm in love with you. I am. God, I'm in love. Oh, God, I'm in love with you. You are more than enough. You are more than enough. Oh, more than enough. More than enough for me. You are more than enough. More than enough. You see, you are more than enough for me, God. You are more than enough for me. More than enough for me. Nothing else matters. You are more than enough for me.
That was awesome, Von Seal. You are more than enough for me, and that is so true. Thank you so much. You know, Von Seal started, well, we actually started Speak That last year, first semester, and Von Seal, she was one of the members who first came with us, and she started performing, ministering for us on a daily basis, and she's so humble. And she's just been with us through it all. She'll not only sing, but she'll sweep a floor, she'll take out some trash, whatever we need her to do. So we're very grateful for you, Von Seal. And also something that she wouldn't say. She was raising money for school because she was lacking some stuff, and so she's selling CDs outside after the whatever you want to call this show, production. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right. Hey, just real quick, we're not going to hold you guys much longer. We're going to wrap it up. But real quick, I want to call the core team up here. Alexis Gautier, Tyler Rose, Justin Drury, and Danielle Bradley Wilson. These people are all my right-hand man or right-hand woman. And like nothing that happens like can happen without these people and this lady right here who is probably gonna take over this thing when I graduate next year. So I'm just gonna give them the opportunity to say something.
Hi guys. So just some of you guys might not know, this might be your first encounter with Speak That, but we are an organization affiliated with Southeastern University. We travel to schools like Bartow Middle School with Mrs. Hewitt. We travel to different venues, Barney's Coffee Shop at the mall, different churches, things like that. And our heart is really to affect, reflect, and deflect the culture around. And in doing so, we just really want to uplift, encourage, and edify each other as we ultimately glorify God. So that's really our heart behind it. I know when I was sitting here tonight, I just started crying at the outcome of the amount of people that we have here. We started at the Jesus Fountain with like 10 people, and to see this and to see the fruit like a year and a half later is pretty amazing.
I just want to share, I'm so blessed by my brothers and sisters up here, really. I think I was the last one on the team, and last year I just said, hey, I want to serve you guys however I can. And little did I know that they would serve me more than I could ever serve them. Speak That gave me the avenue to not only use my gift, but it was the first place I ever shared my testimony and found who I was in Christ a lot of because of this club. And I will forever be grateful to each one of you all, as well as the club itself. And so that's what our club is about. Our club is not, we get up here, we sing some songs, rap some stuff, do a couple of dances. It's not that. We want to see people set free. And I know my life's a testimony of it, and I know there's so many others who have the same testimony. So I'm so grateful. I cannot say that enough to each and every one of you guys. You all mean the world to me.
I want you guys to give yourself a hand clap because we thank you. Yeah, we appreciate you. Right. And I want to also just give a special thanks to Ricky. Guys, he does so much. Like, he's tried to lose his head if he could, and then we would give it back to him to put it back on his neck. But, we just want to say, can we just give a hand clap to Ricky because he does so much.
Stop it! Stop it! You about to make the improv come out. And by the way, I see my improv team. Where you at, improv?
But no, it's really been a blessing. I've grown so much just being with Speak That. I think all of us have. And just getting to know each and every one of you, having conversations, having Bible study, and just seeing how much this has grown. Like Alexis said, we started Jesus Fountain with 10 people, and look how much it's grown. And God is just going to continue to move. And I expect to see Speak That in 10 years, just branches all over the world. So be expecting that. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just want to say real quick, just the growth experience that Speak That has been from the really small beginnings at the Jesus Fountain to now. It didn't just happen. It didn't just fall in our laps. We had to do a lot of things we didn't want to do, a lot of things we were uncomfortable with, a lot of things we didn't know how to do. And we just try our best and let God do the rest. And this is what he's done. He can take, 5 people like us, and I'm not trying to diss anyone, but we're not amazing. We're not incredible. We're just vessels. And so we want to encourage you to be the same thing. That's what Speak That is about. It's not you. It's not about you. It's not about me. We're all just vessels, wanting God to say something to someone else that changes their life. And so that's just been a growth experience for me. It's not about me. It's not about any of us. It's not about you. It's about Jesus and letting him speak what he wants to.
Hey, thank you guys. Also, can we have the leadership team stand up? Some people may be outside, which I think we have like 6 people on the leadership team. Yeah. These people make it happen. And then can we have all of our members take a stand? Here we go, Speak That. All right, awesome. I'm sorry, I come from one of those older black churches, and like, when the pastor gets up and start telling everyone to take a stand to acknowledge people, he ends up acknowledging the whole church. And so I need to acknowledge the faculty and staff who are here in the 2nd and 3rd rows. Thank you for coming. RDG Soul Food, thank you for coming. All of the visitors, thank you for coming. Yeah, and thank you for coming, Holy Spirit. Okay, all right, now I'm going to get really serious. At least I'm going to try to get serious. You would think I'm a better talker than this from, when I do my spoken word. Yeah, this is the real me, I know, yeah. But one thing that we do in Speak That is 2 times a month. It's called Literally Lyrically. And we kind of do what you see here tonight, except for after every performance, someone would step up and they'll give an encouraging word to edify that person, because we always wanted the glory to go back to God. And so that's a little bit different. But one thing that we always do is a testimony. So we're going to have a quick testimony tonight. And this is the most powerful part of the service. And we're going to let you guys out on time because we got some food waiting on you. But this guy, I call him Stephen, but his name is Stephen. I do that when I read Stephen in the Bible too, but I don't know. But Stephen, I've been hanging out with this dude. I've been going over to his dorm. I spent the night sometimes because they have an extra bed. Yeah. But he has a powerful testimony, so we're just going to take a few minutes, listen to it. Tyler's going to come up here, share a quick devotion. We're going to do worship. When we do worship, you guys are actually free to leave if you want to, but God usually does some amazing things. We're going to have some food waiting out there for you. So, Stephen.
All right, well, I'm usually not like nervous to speak in front of a lot of people. That's normally because I'm preaching when I do. But giving your testimony, I guess, is a little bit different because you're speaking about yourself, and rather than, trying to touch other people. But with this testimony, I've really realized over the past year of getting saved, I never really talked about what's happened, especially like really bad parts of my testimony. And since I've been at Southeastern was the first time that I really expressed my testimony, and that's just because this school is so amazing. This school is such a, I'm so blessed to be able to come to this school every single day, wake up in the morning, be able to go to chapel, be able to have friends like Ricky just every day encouraging you to be a servant to others. But again, my name is Stephen. I got saved about a year ago. My junior year, going into my senior year this summer. But growing up was pretty hard. When I was about to turn 5, June 12th of 2000, my dad passed away. And it was kind of hard, but obviously I didn't really remember that much. The next day, though, was my mom and dad's wedding anniversary. It was their 15th year wedding anniversary. Then 2 days later, I had a vision or a dream that I still remember to this day, and it's kind of like the only thing I remember about my dad, and because I don't really remember visual stuff stuff about my dad. But it was an all-white room, and we just started talking. Have no idea what the conversation involved. But we just started talking, and he wound up walking out. And before he walked out, he said, "I love you, son, and I'll see you again, soon." And I had no idea what that meant, because years passed, my dad got involved with drugs. He sold cocaine, all things like that. And I didn't find that out until I turned like 14, 15, on my own. My mom would never tell me these things. She just wanted my dad to be like some, perfect father. But anyways, he died of a drug overdose, June 12th, 2000. And over those years, my mom has really always been my role model. She's always been there for me. She's always done everything she possibly can for me. And, she's always remained faithful to my dad. Never once has she ever had a boyfriend. Never once has she ever brought a man home. My brother and I probably would never let her, but that's beside the point. I'm just so thankful to have a woman that's so faithful. Even though she wasn't a woman of God, like even though she didn't believe in God, she still remained loyal to that one man. And I will forever be grateful and, remain loyal to whoever God blesses me with. But, so later on in my testimony, when I started growing up, there was a lot of fighting in my house and so forth. My brother, beating my mom pretty much, like punching her. He would come home drunk or high, and he would push my mom or my grandma, and they'd fall. My mom was been bloody before because of my brother. And I was little, so I really couldn't do that much. And I guess I just built up an anger. But here's where I've never really told anybody besides when I came to Southeastern is when I was about 6 years old, my brother molested me. And it's kind of hard to say that in front of all of you guys, just for the fact that, I'm a man, I guess being a woman, it would just, I don't know, my own brother molesting me just kind of hurts, and to know that I still have a relationship with my brother, and I kind of just forgot about all that, but I don't know, it still hurts me to know that my own brother molested me. But anyways, later on throughout the years, again, he would just beat my mom, push my grandma, and I turned about 7 years old then, so my brother molested me for about a year. Then when I was 7 years old, this kid, Sergio, who I thought was my friend, he's only a year older than me, he also molested me. So it was very hard, I really didn't understand, so I didn't know that it was hard back then. I just thought that it was, something that happened. And as I grew older, I guess that there was just something in me that still knew that I was molested, but, because I'm a child, I didn't really pay attention. So when people called me names such as, homosexual terms or anything like that, I would start to question, things in my past, whether I was gay or whether I was, if I wasn't straight, which was really hard on me, especially when my own brother, own brother and I, if we got in fist fights, or whatever we did, he would yell at me and call me, very homosexual terms. And it would hurt me so much because I remembered the times that he molested me. Like, how are you going to call your own brother, somebody who you molested, a homosexual term? And that hurt me the most. That's when I got so angry at him, and I swore from the minute that, he did that, I just grew anger towards him. I grew anger towards everything that he did in my past, and I just wanted to hurt him. I said, when I get older, or bigger than you, I'm gonna do something to hurt you. I didn't care if I killed him. I didn't care about anything, and especially if he laid a hand on my mom. And as I got older, the fights became more physical. We'd both be bloody, and cops would be called. Mostly he would get arrested, not me. So it's just very hard, going through that, growing up with that. But I've just learned through everything that it's God's testimony for me to share, because I would always be so embarrassed to tell anybody that I was molested, just for the fact that it's my own brother, it's a guy on a guy. I was just very ashamed. I was very, hurt by everything that happened. And I wondered all the time why God did this to me. Why did my own brother, why do I have to like hide everything that's happened in my past, just because I don't want anybody to know, because I'm embarrassed. But God's really, shown up in my life, and every time I've spoke this testimony, the first time I really shared it was with Justin, and Justin really opened my heart, because I had shared it with him before, a brief part of my testimony, not this, and then he shared his, and I just started crying, and I wanted to share mine. And that's when doors started opening. I got involved with Speak That. I wanted to, share my testimony. Things kept happening. Stevie B's, I couldn't share my testimony and stuff like that. But then 9th grade, 10th grade, really rough year, because I moved from New York in 9th grade. And I had no clue anybody was in 9th and 10th grade. Was completely new to Florida, and just very scared of change, I guess. 9th grade, got involved with wrestling again, because I had wrestled in New York, and I was bullied, like really, really bad in 9th and 10th grade, and I had no friends. Nobody in the school liked me at all. Well, I kind of didn't even try to like get to know anybody, but I very much stayed to myself, and that was not me. Because if you ask anybody that knows me here, I'm a very crazy person. Like, I jump around, very hyper. Never in my room, really. I kind of just all around. As you can probably tell, because I'm jumping around in my testimony. So 10th grade, but 9th grade, 9th grade, I met this kid who I will never forget, and he's my best friend to this day. His name is Josh Herrera. And some of you might have met him when he came to Southeastern just to look at the campus. He's much smarter than me. He's going to Yale or something like that. But yeah, so I just showed him the campus. He slept in my dorm because I have 2 extra beds, like Ricky said. And I just kind of grew in our relationship together when he was on the wrestling team. He was really good at wrestling. He taught me how to wrestle pretty much. We were wrestling partners. And he hated wrestling, like with a passion. He hated it, and he was going to quit going into his 9th grade year. I'm 2 years older than him, so I was a junior when he was about to be a freshman, or going to be a junior when he was about to be a freshman. So when he was deciding whether he was going to stay or not, our coach said, please just give it one more year. We want you to be on the team one more year, please. If you don't love it, you can quit. And he completely abided to our coach, because he was pretty much raised by our coach. He was in the wrestling room all the time since he was little. So he said yes. He wrestled that 1 year, and that 1 year that he wrestled in high school was the year that I got saved. And he spoke to me and led me to God, kept asking me if I wanted to go to church. I kept saying no. And finally, one time, I wanted to get him to shut up. So I just said yeah. I went to youth group, and I absolutely loved it. Never gave my life to God, never did anything like that. Kept going to youth group. Finally went to Sunday service, went to an altar call, didn't feel anything, didn't do anything. Then 2 weeks later, in youth group, our youth pastor started talking about this youth conference in Pensacola, Florida, called Branded by Fire. And I completely, everything changed, because when he said, anybody interested, I just raised my hand. And I had nationals for wrestling that same week, so I have no clue why I raised my hand. But I did, and then I went home, and my mom's like, are you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah. So I did that. I didn't go to nationals for wrestling. And that whole week, it was, I think, 5 days, changed my life. The first speaker I heard was Rich Wilkerson Jr. Yeah. And I didn't get saved that night or anything like that, but this 9-year-old girl, saw me, kind of by myself, on my own, kind of crying a little bit, and she started prophesying over me. And I was, amazed that this little 9-year-old girl is, speaking life into me, telling me that, I'm gonna be a vessel for Christ. And I'm like, I don't even know God. The next day, I heard David Hall. I don't know if anybody knows David Hall, but he's my favorite preacher just because I guess I got saved listening to him. And that night I got baptized in the Holy Spirit. I got saved, obviously. I just completely fell in love with God. And from that moment on, I started growing in my relationship with God. I started evangelizing with our church, doing local outreaches, and completely changed my whole life, that whole experience. But that I'll just wrap up my testimony. But if there's one thing that I can get, if you can get out of my testimony, because obviously I ramble on and go back and forth, but just to please just forgive, because it was so hard for me to forgive my brother and just to forgive the kid that molested me and the kids that molested me. It was so hard to do that, especially as a guy, to forgive people that have touched me in inappropriate ways and done stuff to me that you'd question whether you're gay or not. And I've just learned to just forgive them. And if there's anybody out here that has ever been hurt by somebody, maybe in the same way that I have, or maybe in different ways, maybe your girlfriend or boyfriend talked to you bad and you don't want to forgive them, or your friend was mean to you or something like that, just to forgive them, just to know that God forgave you. God brought me out of what I was in. God brought me out of the sin and the darkness that I was in, and he forgave me for what I've done. Because just as bad as my brother was, just as bad as all those other people were to me and how they hurt me, God forgave them. I know God forgave them, so I have to forgive them for what they have done for me, because if I don't forgive them, then why should God forgive me? But I just want to tell you guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Speak That. Love you guys. God bless you.
Wow. Crazy, heavy stuff. We're running a little bit behind schedule, so I left my notes over here on the seat, which means I can't go long. Well, sort of. No, I'm not. I'm going to be really quick. I want to talk to you a minute about a story in Matthew chapter 20 that I find interesting. It's a parable. And I know for the longest time when I was reading my word, parables used to make me mad because I never knew what they were talking about. Okay, like Jesus just told a random story, and I'm like, okay, what just happened? So for a while, I would read this story, and it was the parable of the landowners. And it's about this guy who owns a vineyard. And he goes out at the beginning of the workday to find people to work in his field. And so he finds some people. He's like, all right, you're going to work in my field for a day's pay. So they come on and they start working in his field. Well, then he goes out into the marketplace a little bit later, finds more people to work in his field. Says, y'all come work in my field for just a day's pay. So they come and they start working. And then again, he does the same thing. He comes in later, finds more people to come work in his field. And then even later on, he finds even more people to work in his field. And so when it comes to the end of the day, all of the laborers come to get their wages. And the master gives all the laborers the same wages. Whether they worked all day, part of the day, a quarter of the day, whether they just stepped on and were like, what am I supposed to do? They still got paid the same thing. And so I'm sitting there and I'm reading this, and then the laborers are like, dude, what are you doing? I worked a lot longer than them. Why are you paying me the same thing that you're paying them? I worked so much longer. I did so much more. Why are we getting paid the same thing? And I'm sitting there and I'm reading this. I'm like, heck yeah. I'd be mad too. You better pay me more than them. Come on. I was like, okay, all right, this isn't some random story. So I started thinking about it. Who is the landowner? The landowner is Jesus. What is the vineyard? Salvation. Who are the laborers? Us. So I started thinking about it. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the vineyard. It only matters if you're there. Wait a minute. It doesn't matter how long you've been serving Jesus. It only matters if you are. See, in the church, we've come up with this attitude, and we've been judging people because we've been serving longer instead of celebrating that they're even serving. oh, you haven't been serving as long as me, so I'm entitled to something more. I deserve